Hey guys, welcome to the video. We just got back from watching The Batman, and we want to get on here to share our thoughts. Now, I think we can both agree with each other that we think it was a good Batman movie, but don't think it was a great Batman movie. And we're going to elaborate on why.
So those of you who don't know, I'm Pudgy.
And I'm Spartan. If you guys like what we have to say about the Batman, or just find our discussion interesting, remember to give it a like, chat in the comments down below, let us know your thoughts, let us know what you agree with, let us know what you disagree with. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that want to challenge our viewpoints, and we're okay with that. Remember, this is our opinion, we're not professional critics, we're just giving our opinion and having a discussion with the community about this movie. So, keep it civil, but feel free to give us your thoughts. And subscribe if you want to stay up to date with our videos. We do reactions and we do reviews of series and movies that we enjoy watching. Just letting you guys know, this review and discussion will be full of spoilers based on things we saw in the movie. So if you haven't watched the movie yet and you don't want spoilers, save it to watch later, click back and watch it after you've seen the movie and get involved in the discussion. So right off the bat, I think I'll start by saying this movie is very dark, and it basically maintains a dark tone throughout the whole movie. I'll talk for myself. I appreciated in this time where everything is forced humor and trying to be too lighthearted and not take itself too seriously. I appreciated the attempt, or, I say it's relatively successful at keeping a dark, gritty feel to the series. I guess if I'm being nitpicky, for me, if I compare it to the other Batman movies, which I'll elaborate on later, but movies like the Dark Knight trilogy and Batman vs Superman, this just felt a bit bleak, personally. I like feeling like I've still got that sense of we're gonna win, and that sense of warmth and sort of hope in the hero, and that the hero is going to sort of triumph and he's that beacon of light kind of character. Whereas the Batman in this felt quite bleak, serious. You could see his pain at all times. He was very much still living through the trauma of his past, and not a fully in control Batman who he didn't feel like he was settled into the role of Batman. Like, obviously that was what they were going for, but the bleakness for me made it hard for me to fully connect with this Batman compared to other Batman. How about you?
Yeah, so I like you. I like the dark tone, but I wasn't completely against that bleakness. I didn't mind that, especially he is a new Batman. Yeah, he's 2 years into the Batman role, and he's still finding his footing. And I like that we got to see that in this movie. You could see that he wasn't so sure of himself. Like, he had trust in his abilities, but he wasn't so sure of how he could help Gotham City. He didn't have that faith in himself. And what I did like was that by the end of the movie, his whole shift changed. He is not vengeance anymore. He's a symbol of hope. And I like that storyline. I like how they drag that out a bit. And I like that personal growth for him. But yeah, I didn't mind the bleakness for that reason.
Yeah, I'll agree with you with that point. I didn't mind in the movies we see, like when Batman tries to use the wingsuit and he ends up tumbling and falling. And even the fact that when he takes on big mobs, sometimes he would get beaten down and have to pick himself back up. I mean, that happens anyway, but you could see the lack of experience in that. And I can tell like they were going for a more grounded Batman compared to Ben Affleck's bit more, sort of
supernatural.
Yeah, supernatural, universal like threat kind of Justice League Batman. Here they were keeping him more grounded, and you could see that. And
you could see that even with like the lack of tech he was using in terms of like the detective side of things.
Taking a look at the combat side of things, there were some really cool scenes. I loved the way that he would walk and the way the boots would create a presence. I like that. Combat was pretty cool. That's not what they're going for. But as someone who loves these scenes, it was a shame there was no big super villain, like someone like I know it's been done, but like a Bane or a Deathstroke, or even the Riddler, different iterations of the Riddler, where Batman can actually go on a one-on-one showdown and really show off his skills. He was mostly versing humans with guns, which, was still really well done scenes. Especially that scene where you basically was dark and all you could see was the machine gun fire, and you would see him taking them out one by one through the bullets, stopping shooting. That was like a cool shot scene, something different. Even when he came out of the flames and it was shot upside down, like some really great scenes there, and really bringing the presence of Batman and what he represents, this dark, feared hero, sort of overcoming the odds time and time again. I feel like some of those scenes really do that justice.
I think the first scene that you mentioned when it was like dark and you could just see the gunfire, that was one of my favorite scenes. It's so small, but it was just such a perfect way to show the combat in that way. I loved it personally. And then I did love the second scene you mentioned where the car comes out of the flames chasing Penguin. The frame's upside down and then he's walking closer and closer. Initially, they cut the frame short and I was like, oh, I wish they had him walking closer, still upside down from that frame. But they went back to it and I was like, oh my God, yes, love it. Now, I didn't mind Robert Pattinson as Batman. Like, he was okay for now. I think I still need a little bit more convincing. But as Bruce Wayne, I did not like it. When he would take off the cowl, he looked like a villain. Like, he didn't look like Batman or Bruce Wayne. Like, he looked like a good villain, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I think as a Batman, he was good, but I'm not sold on him yet. You know, like, Ben Affleck's my favourite Batman. Christian Bale's also a very good Batman. I'm not sold on Robert Pattinson taking over the mantle from them two just yet. I do need to see more. As a Bruce Wayne, he just seemed almost too broken. I like that whole characterization. And granted, that I'm sure there's comics out there where he is that iteration. But I like the contrast between Batman being this dark, gritty, uncompromising representation of truth, and then contrasted with this really charismatic Bruce Wayne during the day and almost the double lives he lives. Whereas I felt more like this guy was one personality the whole time, which is not a bad thing, but he did seem like more of a depressed kind of Bruce Wayne, very disconnected from the world and in his own sort of
bubble.
In his own bubble, but also like just very crippled, as opposed to more of which I guess is an honest representation. Like, you would be crippled based on what he's gone through, so I get that. But it took some getting used to, and I'm not sure if I loved the way his Bruce Wayne was depicted just yet.
Yeah, I think if it's like as an origin of the Batman and I guess Bruce Wayne in a way, I don't mind it. As long as we kind of he puts on that mask now. He wears the suit of the Waynes. He wasn't doing that in this movie, and that's like fine. I genuinely like that, but I feel like I liked it if they kind of finish up with that.
Yeah, speaking of the suit, I think the suit was really cool. I really like the design, other than the headpiece. The headpiece is okay, but it feels like it's almost skinny neck and then like an egghead. Like, it just, I don't know. I didn't love the headpiece. The actual gear, it reminds me of something out of the Batman Arkham games, and that actually looked really badass. Like, I like that.
So a lot of you might know Robert Pattinson from Twilight. And I just found myself thinking, like, not often, but a few times about him as Edward in the movie.
He did still have that kind of awkward, tense presence.
He had that vibe, didn't he? And I get it. I don't think it was just me. I think it was the way he was portrayed, because, I mean, Henry Cavill has done a great job on, like, different roles, and Gerard Butler, and their other performances don't really come into the movies that I'm watching at that time. But I felt like that was kind of seeping through.
As far as the story goes, I feel like the build-up of the story and the mystery was better than the conclusion. I get what they were going for, and they were almost going for a Dark Knight thing with Joker about handing himself in and then there being one big event. I just felt like it was underwhelming. It didn't leave me in awe. It didn't leave me shocked or amazed. It didn't take it to that next level. Basically, the whole movie, I was waiting to see where the story's going, and I wanted it to take me to that next level where I'm like, holy shit, did that just happen? For me, movies like Batman vs Superman, Logan, Avengers Infinity War, like, they do this well. Even like the Dark Knight trilogy, often it takes it to that. You're waiting for the finale, the big showdown, takes it to that next level. This sort of rate was a bit underwhelming. The Riddler was more threatening when we didn't know who he was and what his end goal was. But after that point, it was really about, okay, he's destroyed Gotham. It was, pretty devastating. But from the Batman's point of view, he really had to just take down thugs. And I get what they were doing for the character building side of things. It just didn't leave me with like, wow, what an achievement. Against all odds, we pulled it off. It was more just that, Batman did what he had to do in the scenario. And that's okay, but it just didn't leave me with any sort of wow factor or lasting impression. I didn't leave the movie going like, wow, did that actually just happen? I was sort of left to going, okay, like, it was like more of a standard action movie kind of feel to the ending, where it was relatively predictable and, you know, it wasn't as shocking as it sort of built itself up to be throughout the story. I don't know, how did you feel with that?
I think as a standalone movie, 100% agree with you. There wasn't anything grand to make me go, oh shit. I did not think of that. That's like next level. I think their thing was, okay, now he's got a group around him, like a community around him. I think that was meant to get a bit of hype, but really they're like just amateurs.
It was like setting his place in Gotham and his mission in stone.
But yeah, if we're talking about a sequel for the Riddler in particular, I think this conclusion for him will kind of take him to that next level. He will go to that like next level threat.
Yeah, see, I'm not even sure I care about seeing him again. Like, after he was interesting up until we found out who he was, but then after that point, I don't know if I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see him return. Like, with The Dark Knight, I couldn't wait to see the Joker return. I wanted to see that again. I'm not left with that impression in this.
Yeah.
And we've sort of talked about this before recording, and you keep bringing up the point of, you know, comparing it as a standalone, this thought, but then if it's got more, then you're happy to see where it's going. But if I compare it to Batman Begins, for me, as a standalone, there was a satisfaction that the story rose to a certain height and wrapped it up. And even if there were no movies, it felt like Batman had achieved something great, you know, defeating Ra's al Ghul, conquering his master, becoming something greater than what had initially built him. You know, he's became something bigger than that. It felt like he'd done a really meaningful transformation as a hero. In this, if I treat it as a standalone movie, you know, it doesn't feel like he had a huge transformation from start to finish and that he became something greater. He made realizations, but it didn't feel significant enough for me to be like, wow, he really developed as a hero.
Yeah, I agree with that, I think. I like the small progressions in character, but yeah, it wasn't like massive,
Now, we don't know, I haven't looked it up purposely just to have it raw, but that scene towards the end when Riddler was talking to someone in the cage, in the cell next to him, I'm hypothesizing that by the way he spoke, initially, I know Pudge was thinking maybe he was the Joker, but because he said, riddle me this, I always felt like the Riddler was too young to be the guy who took down Thomas Wayne, so I felt like it was a copycat, and so maybe the guy in the cell next to him was the actual original Riddler. He did sort of look more like him, because this Riddler, he had this black costume, he didn't have his iconic green costume and his cane, and he seemed really focused on the riddles, but lacking some of those other traits the Riddler's known for. So perhaps there's going to be like, you know, a senior Riddler and junior together. That could be interesting. That could be a threat that gets a bit bigger. I feel like what I like is I'd love to see Batman's physically as much as he's mentally.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like this one was a lot more on the detective side of things, right? This reminded me of Batman The Long Halloween in its pacing, its tone, what it was going for, and I understand that. I liked seeing more of the detective side, but I am left craving a bit more of that superhero side where he is going, you know, fist to fist, some of those epic jaw-dropping scenes and choreography, you know, and seeing him take on someone bigger than just humans. But that's my preference, obviously.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. Like, I have that as well, but I am, like, left at least probably a little bit more, I won't say completely, but maybe a little bit more satisfied than what you were. But, yeah, overall, would you give this movie?
Thought about it. Being a really harsh critic, because I know what I want in a Batman, I would give this a 6 out of 10. Now, that's a 6 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I would watch it again. I'm just not left with it thinking that it was iconic or amazing and breathtaking and that I'm, you know, one of my top movies. It wouldn't categorize as that. But because I love the hero of Batman and enjoyed it, that's what I'd give it. How about you?
For the same reasons, but I think there are a few more aspects that I did enjoy, especially with the potential. So I would probably give it a 7.
7, okay.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Again, like, I genuinely enjoyed the movie, but I didn't think it was, like, fantastic, revolutionary. Yeah.
I think we can't finish a full review without doing a quick comparison with the other movies. Now, I'd just say, for me personally, it's probably the weakest entry since the Dark Knight trilogy and Batman vs Superman. I know people will find that controversial, but honestly, Batman vs Superman is my number one. I love that movie. I love Ben Affleck in it. I love the fight scenes, the level they took the character. It was just perfect for me. Following that, the Dark Knight trilogy is awesome. I like the progression in it. I like the balance. I probably lack a little bit of the detective side of it, but I find it hard to find too many flaws with that trilogy because every movie still I got out of it what I wanted. This being the Batman movie since, I would definitely say it's a weaker entry for me than all of those, but with a lot of potential for growth, and if there are future movies, they may be better.
I feel like I kind of agree with that. The potential is there as a standalone.
If I had to compare this entry to, like, I'd probably say it reminds me of The Amazing Spider-Man a lot, where it's an entry to the hero, you can enjoy it, but it's not iconic. It's not one that I feel like, is going to go down in history as just memorable and incredible, but you can still enjoy the experience of that hero. That's probably what it reminds me of in terms of its level of impact for me.
So I think that's it from both of us. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to leave some comments down below, give us a like, and subscribe if you want to keep up to date with our reviews and our reactions.
Yeah, we are actually going to be releasing Season 3 of The Titans coming up. So for all you DC fans who are liking The Titans, we're loving it. So stay tuned, check those out, and let us know what you think.
All right, we'll see you then, guys.
Take care. Till next time.
Bye.